Hello, everyone. Nice to have your company. Yes, it has been several months that I have not been able to be much of service and help for the Sakya Friends, but we were very much involved in giving the teachings, assisting the teachings in Lamdra in Kathmandu. Now, today we are resuming. I know that His Holiness Sakya Koma has given this Vajrapani empowerment, and many others would have received this empowerment before, and today I know that His Eminence 26 Choedak Rinpoche has given the empowerment for the benefit of those who hasn't received. Because for you to be able to receive this teaching from me, you have to have been empowered. So, welcome to everyone. So, to begin this teaching, we will do the prayers. If the prayers has been sent to everyone, that's fine. If not, please screen share it. That is the refuge and generation of bodhicitta and 4 immeasurables. So, with this, please gather your thoughts and feelings and devotion and good intention. We will do the teaching in two sessions tonight and 2 sessions tomorrow. So it's very important that your attention and commitment is there to receive the whole thing. So thank you very much. We'll do the refuge. Yanda Bhutadamara Sangha Aitere Pyute Enlightenment by virtue Ajehandala Aishare Buddha Vajrapani Bhutadamara Sangha Aitere Pyute Enlightenment by virtue Ajehandala Aishare Buddha Bhutadamara Sangha Aitere Pyute Enlightenment by virtue Ajehandala Aishare Buddha Vajrapani. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they know a powerful happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, and those never. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they know a powerful happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, and those never. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and cause of suffering. May they know a powerful happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, those never. According to the intelligence and predisposition of it, the Yatandharama agrelo hekama vehicles. So, you are here to receive the actual formal teachings on the sadhana practice of Vajrapani Bhutadamara. It's not just an explanation, it's actually a formal teaching. Even if you receive Vajrapani empowerment, if you did not receive the formal teachings, you wouldn't know how to do the sadhana. So, I don't know why people take so many empowerment without knowing how to do the sadhana. So usually I prefer to people took an empowerment followed by the teaching on the sadhana. The teaching on the sadhana actually gives you real blessings of the empowerment. Empowerment itself is the transmission, and then you need to receive the teaching. In Tibetan we say Wang, which is the empowerment, Lung, which is the transmission, Ti, which is the teaching. The teaching actually teaches you how to do the sadhana practice. Even if you did receive the Wang, the empowerment, and Lung both, oral transmission, but still if you don't do the sadhana, it's probably you didn't know the sadhana. You didn't receive the teaching. So it's not the fault of not practicing, the fault of not receiving the teaching. So that's why I strongly recommend people receiving the teachings. Particularly the Vajrapani Bhutadamara is one of the first and most important deity yoga that are taught in the Sakyapa monasteries. Sakyapa followers, they should first do the Vajrapani empowerment teachings and the retreat. Without having done that, people may face a lot of obstacles in the practice. So that's why receiving the teaching on Vajrapani Bhutadamara is not only teaching you how to do the practice of Vajrapani Bhutadamara, but also will lay a good foundation for your practice to begin properly. So therefore, please bring your good intention. That intention for the practice Dharma is to practice the Dharma, not just receive even empowerment. Receiving many empowerment without doing practice. Of course, you can't do practice of all the deities, sadhanas, but you need to do at least few deity yoga sadhanas if you have received. So I hope that this teaching will go to boost some of you who have intention to take up practice, and that this Vajrapani teaching will lay the good foundation. So thank you for everyone's good commitment of time and dedication and attention here, listening. And also I'd like to thank Sakya Friends and all our very dear Dharma translators who are all amazingly dedicated to facilitate Dharma teaching through offering their service to translate. So thank you, and we rejoice everybody. So the Vajrapani Bhutadamara is a deity yoga practice that is taught in Hevajra Tantra, and it belongs to Anuttara Yoga. So it is mainly to remove the obstacles, outer, inner, and secret obstacles. We have all these obstacles. Outer obstacles are mainly physical things. Inner obstacles are kind of our body that actually goes through certain illnesses and health and ill health and all. Secret obstacles are our negative emotions. So the teachings of the Buddha is medicine to cure and prevent all these obstacles, and therefore have a steady progress on your practice of Dharma. So I believe you all have received the outline of the commentary that I'm going to offer, so which I will also use, because outline gives you the main kind of theme of the practices. So outline is firstly little background is that when you do the Vajrapani or any deity yoga sadhana, you'd always do the lineage guru prayer. So here the Vajrapani Bhutadamara sadhana was brought to Tibet and by Parilotsawa. Parilotsawa is the teacher to Sachen Kunga Nyingbo, and he's the only non-Khon family member who actually became the throne holder. He's the second throne holder of Sakya. First being Khon Gyalpo, second is Parilotsawa. not because of his important role, but because Sachin Kunga Nyingbo was too young and minor to be the head of the Sakya lineage. So Parilo Tsawa, whose name features in your lineage guru prayer, is the main Tibetan teacher who traveled to India, and he received these teachings from Amoghavajra. Amoghavajra is his Indian teacher, and Rinchen Thak is the Parilotsawa. And so when you do the at the very beginning, first sit down and do the lineage guru prayer. When you do the lineage guru prayer, you should visualize on top of your crown Akshobhya. Even though we call the guru Vajrapani, you can visualize the Akshobhya Buddha on top of your head. And when you're chanting the lineage guru prayer, and while chanting lineage guru prayer, you stay very still, physically sit very still, and emotionally very sincere with the right intention. And then in terms of your attention should be very serene in focusing that you have the holy presence of Akshobhya Buddha on top of your crown. As you call upon all the lineage gurus, imagine all the lineage gurus you are calling and inviting. You receive them one by one, by so to speak. Then all of them absorb into the guru Akshobhya on top of your crown. And through that you are blessed. You become much more like you're receiving one after another great luminaries of the lineage, and you are able to receive them into your heart, and you receive their positive qualities, their energy, their virtue, their knowledge, their discipline, their kindness, their tolerance just completely washes you. And so the idea of doing the lineage guru prayer is reconnecting yourself with the historical lineage. They call long lineage these days. And it's better to have a historical long lineage than the so-called near lineages. Near lineages are kind of sort of pure vision lineages, but they are not necessarily the one to go. You have to have a historical lineage on the basis which you receive this empowerment. And so the list of the lineage guru that you're inviting them, you should recite their name. Every one of their names is very holy. Just being able to make connection to think of each of the gurus and their names will bless you, change you. With this understanding, you should sit still with sincere motivation, with serene attention of the presence of Guru Akshobhya on top of your crown, and then you should pray wholeheartedly. So that's the first one. That's the first one you do. That's to calm your mind and body and thoughts and leave everything aside. During that next 45 or whatever time it may take before you do sadhana, just put everything aside and just stay focused. So you don't have to necessarily chant out loud if you don't want to. Some of you may have a good space where you can chant and doesn't disturb anybody, or time is such a good time that you can do that. Others, I know, live in very, very small places with lots of people around or whatever. Then you can do it whisperingly. You don't have to necessarily make noise chanting out loud if that's not appropriate to your living arrangements. Like here in Australia, we enjoy a suburban home where we're relatively very, very quiet, But if you have several people living in the home or something, of course you recite the prayers, chanting, very murmuring, whisperingly. But if you live in some countryside and you're on your own and nobody, then of course you can chant with the melody and so on. That's really up to you. But you've got to make sure that the time that you take to chant and invite all the lineage gurus is done so with a lot of devotion, a lot of connection, and a lot of reconnecting with the great lineage masters, not just our lineage master, but his teacher, all the way goes back to Buddha Vajradhara. So that's the first one. And then the main practice has divided into three: preliminary, a main practice, and the conclusion. And when you do the preliminary, main, or conclusion, each of them has, you have to follow the structure. You need to know the contents, the meaning, the symbolism, and most importantly, the application. So therefore, it's very good to know the structure. So the structure of the sadhana, the Vajrapani sadhana, like I have a text like this. This is we printed a few years ago. And some of you may have the other versions, but the main text is exactly the same. So you need to carry that with you. Of course, these days you can have it on your phone if that's preferable. So anyway, so you do the carry the practice with you wherever you go, and then the structure is, first of all, after doing the lineage guru prayers, you have to do the preliminary. Preliminary means preparation. If you do whatever you're doing, whether you're going for a picnic in the afternoon, or whether you're going to do work in the morning tomorrow, or whatever preparations you've done, whether it's cooking or something, if you all did prepare all the necessary things, whether it be there having the right ingredients, or having there, or quantity, or whatever, it will make you to do the thing properly. So like that, here you have to do the preliminary. Preliminary is mainly psychological here. There are two preliminaries, common preliminary and uncommon preliminary. Common preliminary is you have to reflect on the four common preliminaries. Four common preliminaries is to enable you to free yourself from the deluded, selfish kind of motivation. So therefore, in order that you do not stay me, you need to think about the world. So instead of now, you think of the future. Instead of body, you think of the mind stream. So you think of the altruistically for the benefit of others, and time was the future, yeah? And time was the future, and body and mind-wise, and for the benefit of the mind. So you need to basically prioritize mind, others, and future. People who are short-sighted aren't able to think of the future. They want to do something now. As long as they are comfortable now, feels good, they do. Otherwise, if it doesn't go well, they give up. So short-sighted people do that. So in order to rectify this problem, we have to lay the four common foundations. The first common foundation is meditate briefly on the sadness of the plight of the world that are really suffering through violence, through war, through natural disasters, through human-made disasters, to personally made disasters, people who have destroyed their life through alcoholism, through gambling, through decadence, through lack of discipline, and then how many of them are running into troubles of all levels. So meditate briefly, try to arouse this deep sense of sadness and hurt about the world that is in. This is called, traditional teaching talk about meditating on the shortcoming of the samsara or something, but actually it's shortcomings of selfishness, really, shortcomings of self-centeredness and deludedness. Then his or her world is going in a vicious cycle. It is the mind that is lack of the mind that is out of control. That makes the world go into whirlwind. So you should feel, you might know your past, or you may know someone dear and close to you whose life is completely in mess because of their lack of ability to tame the mind, and lack of ability to practice kindness and gentleness, and they resort to violence and alcoholism and bad behavior, and yet they don't have anyone to listen to, or they have many bad company, and how many are suffering. You should meditate briefly on this before the sadhana to arouse a deep sense of sadness and compassion to the plight of sentient beings. That's the first of the four common foundations. The purpose of this is to arouse renunciation, arouse deep sense of disgust to the deluded sentient beings' behavior and lack of self-control. Then second common foundation, meditate briefly on the rarity and difficulties of finding a precious human rebirth. And try to make a reasonable assessment of your own life. And it's very good to know or take a good stock of all the good things that your life is blessed with. People tend to think always of things that are not gone good in their life, so they become very negative and very pessimistic. So in order to remedy this, you need to meditate on the how fortunate and precious gift our life is, and think of all the plus points in your life, kindness to your parents, and whatever the other good points your life has, freedom to practice Dharma, and freedom to receive teachings like this in your own safe home, but you can receive the teachings being translated in your own languages. The Buddha has come some 2,000 years ago, and because of his amazing wisdom and love and compassion has radiated ever since, the teaching has stayed alive and reached to many people, generation after generation. Even after 2,600 years, the noble lineage of the Dharma is still strong, and we have a good karmic connection to meet and greet and embrace the Dharma, and having found refuge. And so these are the factors you need to rejoice in. And say, since you have heard and learned Dharma, how much small steps you have taken in changing your ways. You no longer resort to bitterness and anger and blaming and pointing finger to others anymore as you used to do. Now you realize, I need to change my mind. And you have this amazing wealth of wisdom how not to react and overreact to the childish sentient beings, but treat them with compassion, tolerance, and understanding. So this kind of incredible gift of Dharma is very, very precious. You know, if people found a bar of gold, they say, oh, I was very fortunate to find a gold. But as soon as they found the gold, it became a cause of fear and anxiety and worry and so on. But wait until you realize your life is precious, because you do not do ill will. You do not do resentment, but instead you do goodwill and loving kindness and compassion. And you don't think about short term, you think always long term. You don't react quickly, you will think carefully, pause, and then choose the most safest way. All these are incredible human values that Buddha taught, which we call Dharma. Our life is blessed. When you have Dharma, your life is blessed. If you always never forget the Dharma, never turn your back to Dharma, you are safe. We're not talking about being friendly to some and attached to some gurus, and we're not talking about that. Dharma means Dharma. Dharma is not people. Don't rely on people, but rely on Dharma. You see, so this kind of your ability to resort to, because Dharma teaches to practice kindness and sanity and thoughtfulness and gentleness and tolerance, and all these things are taught by having Dharma. So you can see how life is better with Dharma. So meditate on the preciousness of your life, and therefore take an inventory of all the good points in your life. The tradition that I talk about meditating on the 8 freedoms and 10 endowments, which is really important to do. The point of this second common foundation is to arouse the joy and gratitude and have the amazing sense of thankfulness to your life so far, and the precious triple gem in particular, and your freedom to practice Dharma on top of that. So rejoice that, even if you have some material losses or illness or something, just don't see them as a problem. These things are nature of existence. but you have right attitude about the loss, about the ill health, about the difficulties. That's more precious. So that is very important. And third is, even though your life is very precious and you're maybe relatively healthy even, but you never know. Third is, you should meditate on the impermanence of all things and the inevitability of death. And the time is very, very close. Never know how quickly the death is going to come. Death is not a place you go to. Death means you stop breathing and have no oxygen, no breath, no warmth, no breath. Basically, your body becomes like a big dead tree. And dead tree's got no branches or anything like that, all just dried up. Our life is very much at the brink of collapsing any time. You wouldn't believe how fragile it is. This life is so precious, but it is just as fragile and so vulnerable to the smallest thing. You wouldn't believe it. With the wrath of the Mother Nature, whether it's flood or earthquake or fire or hurricanes, we are just like a small piece of cotton wool, easily could be blown away and drowned in no time. We're so fragile. We're nothing really. So therefore, don't try to hold on to this idea of me and mine and things and people as real and permanent, because they are not. They're all transient. They're all temporary. They're all impermanent. Can't you remember some of the amazing friends that you have are no longer friendly towards you? Due to theirs, due to yours, or due to both mutual unskillfulness. You no longer have those people. Same goes with the power. So maybe you exercise some certain positions where you had lots of power. Now you no longer have power. Maybe you had lots of families around you, but now you couldn't see them. They are no longer there. They're all somewhere, some dead, others dying. Maybe we are the only few that's left from the big family. And so, therefore, think of this amazing, constant change of flux, of transitory nature of all things. Why we need to think like this is because when they do change, we do lose things, we do not get attached. You don't moan and groan when these things do not work, because they don't. So you're preparing yourself to let go and set yourself free from clinging and grasping to impermanent things as permanent. But that's what people are suffering, because some people are lost something they lost, and then they still have trauma because they never knew things are impermanent. They regard them to be permanent. They say they have permanent residence. They say they have permanent relationship. Come on, give me a break. They're not permanent. None of, You may have a piece of paper say you're a permanent resident, but you will die before you can use all those permanent years, So you have only a piece of paper that you say permanent, but the person who is permanent, supposed to be resident, is no longer there. He may have a permanent job, but how permanent? Maybe the job is permanent, but your position and ability to work there is not permanent. Same goes with the relationship, Same goes with everything. So the point of meditating on the impermanence is meditating on impermanence is the amazing topic of meditation. When you meditate on impermanence, then you can see the nature of all conditioned things are impermanent. It's not tragic to see things change in your life. You say, tragic death. This. It's only tragic when you are reacting to the impermanent and thinking it should be permanent. That's a tragic. It's more tragic is thinking everything is permanent when they are not. That's a tragedy of tragedy. So knowing things are impermanent is blessed by the Buddha, because you are able to let go of things and no longer hanker and hold on to things. And most people are grasping to a razor blade that are moving. Just imagine, will you ever touch a razor blade that is moving? You wouldn't even touch the razor blade that is stationary. But if you touch the razor blade that is motion, it will be completely dumb. Like yet, people are grasping onto things that are moving, changing, thinking they are real. They are grasping to the position, the health, the looks, appearance, positions, and relationships. They are changing. And then instead of letting go, you are grasping and you're complaining and you think you're abandoned by somebody and all of that. It's not because they abandoned, it's because you are attached. When you're attached to something, you have suffering. So therefore, knowing things are transient and impermanence and do not last and things change is so true and such a fact. Buddha was such a wise. No wonder he is the enlightened one, because everything he said is so true. And it's so true that it will never let you down. So get used to thinking, to not only think of impermanence, think of dying and start make planning that you will die and what provision you will make to that inevitable journey. So that's the third meditation. By doing the third meditation, it enables you to let go and not cling on to things. It's a very profound gift. Fourth common foundation is meditating. And meditating meaning paying attention to the law of causality, law of consequences of every action. Before you say something, before you do something, before you think something, always choose whether it's really necessary for me to do this, say this, think this. When you do, you will fear the adverse consequences of a negative, rash, arrogant, violent, abrasive reaction. So you will learn to pause for a cause. And then you are able to stop the kind of unexpected results, because you are able to really be watchful of the very thoughts. Every thought has an action, The good thought, we usually say action is physical, words is verbal, as thought got no consequences. Thought got more consequences than your mind can even guess. So lots of this distress, sadness, hurt, resentment, anger is because of thought karma. So we need to take great caution about not doing thought karma. So these four, meditating on these four greatly prepares you why you need to take refuge, So this is the why we take refuge, why we accept the Buddha, why we believe in the Dharma, why we hold our friendship with the Sangha very important, is because we believe in the Dharma. The Dharma is so true. Every time we read and think and discuss and pay attention, it gives us amazing boost of aliveness. It's almost like the horsepower of the engine becomes so increased, then you become so much mobilized. So much increase your boost your morale. So this is very important. This is the four common foundations. So that's, I reiterate this for the benefit of those. There's no danger of you hearing this too many times, are there? Because unless you're listening to the pure Dharma, they don't talk about this. There are lots of new age stuff, things, people doing this for this, doing this for that, without any of this. So because once you have got familiarized with these four common foundation, meditating on the to arouse renunciation by seeing the plight of sentient beings who are lost in samsara and their afflictions. So when you have that, then there is a great sense of sadness, and you can see everybody who's in trouble. You don't judge them. You straight away empathize them, that they are the same. You are in the same shoes, basically. We are in the same boat as they are. We don't judge, we don't react, we don't think they are terrible. We think that's, there's another being like me who are in the pool of samsara. They are drowned in the samsara. So you have this amazing power to do. So that's the foundation. Instead of reacting and overreacting and making a mess of it. When you have the precious human rebirth, foundation up your sleeves, then you are full of joyfulness. Because of your joyfulness, every difficulty that you see are so minuscule. Your greatness, your graciousness enables you to accept any blows or blames with great sense of bodhisattvic attitudes. So that's incredible, because you have the preciousness of human rebirth. And then with the law of impermanence and death enables you to let go everything, because everything is changing. So you don't even try to react to something. It will change by itself. So don't try to change people or change things, because it will change by itself. And it's particularly if you let go, the change is already automatic. There's amazing that. And so because of that, you are very careful to do things, say things, think things, because you know whatever you do, think, and say have consequences that you have reason to fear. You don't blame on the actions of other people's consequences. That's them. They will bear the fruit. Don't you worry. You have to mind your own thoughts and words and deeds, actions, and the type of actions you adopt, type of actions you drop, and this sort of thing. So that is the very important common foundation. Then when comes second is the uncommon preliminary. Uncommon preliminary is generation of bodhicitta, and then taking refuge and generation of bodhicitta. So first is taking refuge. For this, there are four. Cause is you have to have emotionally, you have to have fear from samsara in general, and selfishness in particular, and dualistic conception in more particular. Fear of that. Faith in the qualities and the wisdom of the Buddha, compassion and power, and how true the Dharma is. You should totally feel inspired by the Dharma, by the qualities of the Buddha and the Dharma. It just makes you feel so much enchanted by lots of optimism. And therefore you have faith how much Dharma has changed you and changed other people. And it can really heal and cure everybody's suffering if they practice Dharma genuinely. So that's the faith. And then you have compassion to fellow sentient beings who are lost in the thicket of samsara without having karma and merit to meet the Dharma. So therefore, with this fear and faith, compassion, then your objects of refuge, you visualize the Guru Akshobhya, in the form of Vajrapani, surrounded by all the lineage gurus, as well as the Buddhas, as well as the Dhamma, as well as the Sanghas and Yidams and everyone. You visualize them as a refuge tree, refuge tree as clearly as possible. So the Vajrapani is the Buddha, that is the mind of the Buddhas. The Dharma is the speech, and the Sanghas are that you can see the form of the Buddha. Vajrapani is the form. If you visualize Vajrapani himself embodying all the triple gem, the mind is the Vajrapani, speech is the Dhamma, and the form of Vajrapani is the Sangha. And quintessence of that is all Guru. So therefore your objects of refuge is Guru Vajrapani. If you want to more elaborate, visualize Vajrapani in the middle, surrounded by lineage gurus, all in the form of Akshobhya Buddha, and then the Buddhas on the right, Dhamma in the back, Sanghas on the left, Yidams in the front. So that's the object. Then the manner of going for refuge is that you should see the Buddha Vajrapani as the doctor, his teachings of the Dharma as the medicine. Your Sangha friends are all the nurses. You and all sentient beings who need to take refuge as the patients. So with this manner, you need to go for refuge, yeah? So you go for refuge verbally, physically join your hands at the heart, and verbally recite the refuge prayers in the most holy Guru, who is the essence of the body, voice, mind, quality, deeds of all the Tathagatas, abiding in the 10 directions and 3 times, source of the 84,000 articles of the doctrine, and the master of noble assemblies are in all sentient beings, who are as limitless as the space, from this time forth until the essence of enlightenment is reached steadfastly. I take refuge in glorious Guru and Holy Master lineage. I take refuge in blessed accomplished Buddhas. I take refuge in holy teachings. I take refuge in noble assemblies. So physically, you basically do at least that much. If you have time, you can get up and do prostration, and then do the refuge like that, physically like that, and then bow down, and if you have your own space, there's time to do that. It's a good idea to combine the prostration. If you can't do the prostration for whatever reason, then while seated, just do that. Take refuge in Guru, lineage Gurus, take refuge in Buddhas, take refuge in Dharma, take refuge in Sangha, recite the 4-line prayers wholeheartedly. And when you do this, think of all sentient beings are with you. And when you say I and all sentient beings, so that everyone is joining you physically, just as carefully as you bow down, so do all of them. Just as carefully you recite the refuge prayer, so do all sentient beings murmur with you. And just as you undistractedly stay very moved by fear and faith and compassion and pure perception, so does all sentient beings join you in amazing kind of a camaraderie, or a strong sense of friendship, in unanimity. They all do the refuge with you. With this in mind, physically do the prostration, bow down gestures, verbally recite the refuge prayer slowly and melancholically and beautifully. The way you say every word is so done with great care. So the physically, emotionally feel those fear, faith, and compassion, and think all sentient beings around you are joining you just as you do physically, verbally, mentally. They're also doing with sense everybody's support and lifted by each other to go for refuge. Every time you say refuge prayer once, every time you say second, you're getting closer and closer to realizing what constitutes refuge. Refuge really means not so much an external God or Buddha to come and protect you, but you yourself are realizing how to be safe, how to not resort to thought that are anxious, that worry, fear. You don't do those. You instead have faith and devotion and confidence and mindfulness and discipline to do the practices. You're so meticulous in what you do that you don't have any space left in your mind to be distracted, to be worried, to be doubtful, to be unsettled. You don't have those. That's refuge. It means you're safe. You're so with it. You're so present. You're meditating, Vajrayana is not seen to be sitting still quietly, but they're doing those things. But those outward physical movement or verbal recitation, but deep down mind is completely supported by all the above, and hence you are in meditation. Now, if you prefer to sit still and not really do the hand gestures, that's perfectly fine. But you need to give a try what's like to be those hand movements and physical posture. Remember, people sitting, can go bed, just go dull and just sinking in dullness. So being able to get up and do prostration and do those prayers can be quite a remedy in itself. So take refuge wholeheartedly. Imagine everybody's doing with you. The more you say the refuge, the more you are becoming better. You're healthier and wiser and kinder. And you already are changing. You already are finding refuge in the practice. As you realize, how wonderful to practice like this and have my mind so clear and calm and contented and focused and have no doubts. You don't have to think what I have to do. You just do this. And that totally pacifies your neurosis, your worries and anxieties. So calling the name of Triple Gem is an incredible blessing. The moment you think of the Triple Gem, it will change you. Particularly when you do for the sake of all beings, it will definitely change you. So you cannot receive many empowerment, not do sadhana, okay? You have to do the sadhana, and particularly do this preliminary refuge very carefully and very thoughtfully. After you recite the refuge prayer, maybe 21 times or 100 times, whatever your time permits, then you fold your hands at the heart and then recite the prayer. In the Guru and the three precious gems, I bow down and take refuge. May you bless my mind stream. So that's a prayer of supplication. When you supplicate the root and lineage gurus, and triple gem after taking refuge physically, verbally, mentally, with amazing thought and feelings and devotion and so forth, then as soon as you finish the refuge prayer, rays of light shine from the heart of all the objects of refuge, all just Buddha Vajrapani. And each of these rays of light shine, touches all sentient beings who you have included and who are doing the refuge with you. All of their gross physical body vanishes like a rainbow, and their mind is delivered into Dharma Dhatu. Thus, all the blessings of that liberated all sentient beings, and then all the refuge objects themselves dissolve into the Guru Akshobhya. Guru Akshobhya have a Vajrapani. Vajrapani becomes a small ball of blue light, and that comes closer and closer, and then absorbs into your crown. And just like a rock salt put in the water dissolves, likewise the ball of refuge object dissolves into your crown and completely fuses to you, and there is no you, no refuge goer, no refuge object. There is an amazing sense of clarity and emptiness and their non-duality, the ultimate refuge. So you should sit there for at least a couple of minutes, really just sit there calmly, learn how to do refuge, okay? Don't rush into doing the sadhana, okay? And sit there, pause there for a good few minutes, and don't sit in a dullness or sinking. Just feel this amazing luminosity, the ultimate sangha. The emptiness of the mind. There's no you, no them, no sentiment. This incredible, emptiness and clarity combined. And so that is the Dharma. And this emptiness and clarity are not separate. They're just two in one. And that is the real Buddha. And essence of all of that is the Guru. Guru is not some other people. The Guru is being able to be present with this awareness of the fusion of the triple gem. So stay there for a little while. So that's the taking refuge, how to take refuge, okay? You take refuge very wholeheartedly, and then you move to do the generation of bodhicitta. Generation of bodhicitta called enlightenment thought, because bodhicitta means thought of enlightenment. Thought, because enlightenment is not a place or not a status. Enlightenment is a thought. What kind of thought? Very unselfless thought. Selfless thought of altruism, both relative and ultimate altruism. So for that, in order to cultivate that, you have to develop the relative bodhicitta first, which is, for the sake of all living beings, I must attain perfect Buddhahood, enlightenment. That's called the wishing bodhicitta. You are aspiring to achieve the Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings, okay? So that very much express the wishing bodhicitta. For that purpose, I shall practice this meditation of Sri Vajrapani Bhutadamara, King of Wrathful Ones. So with this in mind, when you I'm going to do the sadhana for the sake of all saints. That's engaging bodhicitta. So doing the sadhana each day is bodhisattva practice, okay? So don't you try to not to practice any sadhana and you think of Buddhists, you are Mahayanis. You have to do formal practice, and you should then make that as your dedication. Whether you have to stay up late a little bit, or whether you have to try to fit in between your work and tiredness, or whatever it is, you are trying to dedicate that as your form of bodhicitta. So therefore, for that purpose, I shall practice. What is the purpose? Purpose is to achieve the enlightenment for the sentient being's sake. I'm going to do this sadhana. See, the engaging bodhicitta, which is some of you would have received the bodhisattva vows separately, And if you have, then you have reason to renew that every day when you do refuge, when you do sadhana. So it's a very excellent opportunity to renew your bodhicitta, you know. If you renew your bodhicitta, your mind will be blessed, you know. Your mind will be changed and transformed. So you believe in yourself. So with that in mind, you should recite the bodhicitta prayer at least 3 times, wholeheartedly. So that's correlative bodhicitta. Ultimate bodhicitta is meditating on the emptiness of self. So let's not talk about it that yet. So that is the accumulation of common preliminaries. Now, after common preliminaries of refuge and bodhicitta is done, which means refuge and bodhicitta are respectively the booster and reviser and restorer of your pratimoksha and bodhisattva vows. When you do the refuge carefully, it restores your pratimoksha vows. And when you generate bodhicitta 3 times each day or each sadhana, you are renewing your bodhisattva vows. So these are very profoundly important. So that's what always refuge bodhicitta occurs in every sadhana. Then the third one is accumulation of merit. The accumulation of merit and accumulation wisdom. That's accumulation of 2 stocks. 2 stocks are merit and wisdom. But in order to accomplish accumulation merit and accumulation wisdom, there are 2 obscurations. So these 2 obscurations has to be resolved, remedied, and in order to achieve the 2 kayas. So that's why, what are the 2 obscurations? Afflictive obscuration and cognitive obscuration. Some people call it gross affliction, gross obscuration, and subtle obscuration. Gross and subtle is a very general description. More specifically, what is the grossness of the gross obscuration is affliction, such as desire, anger, attachment, jealousy, and arrogance. And these are the kind of doubt and fear and anxiety. These are grossest form of obscuration. So that's why I call it afflictive obscuration. If you have this afflictive obscuration, you have many sufferings and karma. You have very little merit up your way. So therefore, the obscuration of afflictions are remedied by the merit. So you need to do the meritorious practice in order to remove the first obstacle, obscuration of affliction. And then if you did that, it will slowly achieve the state of rupakaya, form body. And in order to achieve form body, you have to create the cause, which is the wisdom. If you have wisdom, then you will be able to remedy the subtle obscuration. Subtle obscuration is knowledge obscuration, that is grasping to name and form and feelings and perception as me or mine, and getting attached to that. So therefore, the 2 problems are afflictive obscuration and knowledge obscurations. 2 remedies are accumulation merit, accumulation of wisdom. And 2 results are rupakaya and dharmakaya respectively. So that's why in the handout I have given you today, if you have a copy, it's very good to have that as a structure. So that concludes what we call accumulation of. That is talking about the 2 accumulations. So now to break down and give more detailed meaning of what is the accumulation of merit. The accumulation merit are 2 kinds. You accumulate merit in relation to holy beings, and then accumulate merit in relation to ordinary sentient beings. So first we have to do the accumulated merit in relation to holy beings, and that is done firstly by making offerings. So in order to make offerings to the merit field, you have to therefore create a merit field. So that's why the sadhana starts saying, upon the moon disk at my heart is a red syllable ram. Here the Vajrapani being wrathful, it uses the sun disk, a red color. Red syllable ram becomes a sun disk. And hook-shaped light rays issue from this syllable ram, and illuminate all three realms, form realm, desire realm, and formless realm, and invite all the Lord wrathful ones and subduer of demon Bhutadamara, surrounded by assembly Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So you invoke all the invocation of the merit field. You do that through mantra, mudra, and dhyana. Mantra is the verbal recitation of Om Vajra Samanza. Mudra is you touch the two hands like this, and then snap the finger, cross the heart, Om Vajra Samanza, physically. Verbally recite Om Vajra Samanza. Physically, you do this hand gesture, and then mentally with dhyana, means concentration-wise, imagine all the enlightened beings unveiled before you. You are completely at the right in the holy presence of all the enlightened. You should believe in that. You should think like that. So that's called invocation merit. The purpose of invoking merit is merit field, is so that you can have a field in which you can plant the seed. Like a farmer needs field before he can grow olives. So some people are taking lease of a land for 20 years so that they can grow the olive. Like that, you have to get the merit field of the enlightened ones before you. And then in the presence of that, then you're going to make the what are you going to do? You're going to do two things. You're going to make offerings, and you're going to do the 7 limb prayers. So first is that you make the offerings. So you make the offerings also with the mantra, mudra, and dhyana. So the offerings has mantra is Om Bhutadamara. Om means homage. Bhutadamara means subduer of demons. Saparivara means along with your retinues. Then Om means homage. Vajra means adamantine. Argam is drinking water. And then Ahung. So you have this standard prayer Om Bhutadamara Saparivara Om Vajra. Ahung. Between the Om Vajra and Ahung, you insert the 8 words one by one. So what I've done in the handout is you will see these 8 mantras correspond to solving a problem. We're doing a practice and remedy the problem. And so what do? You have the problem is ignorance. First you make the offering of argam. By performing the hand gesture like this, you have to. Mantra is Om Bhutadamara Saparivara Om Vajra Aragam Ahum. The mudra is you do the hand gesture like this. Om Bhutadamara Saparivara Om Vajra Aragam. You touch the 2 middle fingers like this. This is signing the hand gesture of pouring water from a jug, yeah? So that's why that's why you do this. Argam means drinking water. So drinking water is offered as argam to wash away the ignorance by drinking the knowledge, because the knowledge of Dharma then removes your ignorance. And therefore you will change neuro-linguistically. So the agent is your head. So drinking water is you offer to the mouth, but you actually want to wash your brain, really, basically your head. And second is Om Bhutadamara Saparivara Om Vajrapadyam Ahum. For that, the problem is arrogance. You need to remove purify arrogance and to washing. So that feet washing water is to wash the dust of arrogance by saying Padyam, same gesture, in order to cultivate the quality of humility. Humility is a great virtue. Arrogance is a cardinal affliction. So in order to destroy the cardinal affliction, which is the afflicted obscuration, you need to create merit of humility. And so the water is poured to the feet, So that's why the agent is the feet. And then third one is Om Bhutadamara Saparivara Om Bhutadamara Saparivara Om Vajrapushpe. That's the flower. So then you do the flower is offered. Flower is offered to remove the problem of violence by making flowers. So you make peace, Pushpa is a flower, isn't it? So that you have developed may the qualities blossom. So that's why you're doing the gesture of the flower. So the may qualities blossom, and then offer the flower to the head, don't you? And so that's why this handout that I have written with these all the 8 problems, 8 practices, and 8 mantras, then 8 remedies, 8 agents. So you can see in the chart whether the handout has come there clearly or not. I'm not sure, but you can basically see all the list of those 8 problems. So you can really study this clearly, how each of the Argam, Padam, Pushpa, Dupa, Aloka, Gandha, Navita correspond to solving each of the 8 problems by doing the practice of offering drinking water or washing water or flowers or incense and so on. You can just study them. And then you look at the mantras, Argam, Padam, Pushpa, Dupa, Aloka, Gandhi, and then the remedies, how each of these 8 offerings gives you knowledge and humility and qualities and purity and wisdom and faith and meditation and right speech. And by offering to different parts of the body, like the head, feet, head, nose, eyes, heart, tongue, and throat. So when you do the 8 offering, that's what you're actually doing, okay? So Om Bhutadamara Sabhare Aragam Ahum. After each of the offering, you need to snap the finger. Snapping of the finger is symbolized, the snapping of the finger to symbolize the instantly offered, and as a result, the offering, an offerer, and purpose, problem, and remedies are all realized. So instantly, so you should be very positive. Vajrayana is a quick practice, smooth practice, quick path practice. So don't let the problem stay there. You just within a snap of finger, it's all done. So with this in mind, you should learn to do the mudras, mantras by heart, and then when you know the mantra mudra very well, then you can do the dhyana. Dhyana is, then you can use the hand movement and mantra to boost your concentration. So therefore, even though your hand is moving, your lips are moving, but your mind is completely still, and imagining all these offering goddesses carry this flower and water and so offer all the Buddhas, and then when you snap the finger, they all absorb back into your heart, and then all remedies of the blessings have completely remedied the problem. Problems have no traces left. Remedy has completely overcome them. So with this in mind, when you interplay the bodily movement, they call mudras, verbal recitation, the mantras, and emotionally and visualizing these very clearly, and believing in them wholeheartedly, you wouldn't believe why we say Vajrayana is a swift path, because you are interplaying your body movement, verbal recitation, mental imagination, emotional feeling of devotion, faith, and purpose. When you do that, it definitely changes. You wouldn't believe how small signing hand gestures can make or break. Sometimes you show a rude hand gesture, people will never like you ever again. If you did otherwise, exactly, you win a friend like that. So here, Vajrayana skillfully teaches you to do these hand gestures to change your conduct. And when you're reciting mantra, Vajrayana teaching teaches to change your speech, change how you speak, what you speak, who you speak, what you don't speak. Be careful. Your mouth is a cause of a lot of problem. So mind your mouth. You may talk about some people's behavior, but if your mouth is busy talking about other people, you are just as bad as the thing that you think is bad. So therefore, mind your speech. So it's for that purpose we recite Om Bhutadamara Sabha. He is subduing the demon of your lips. Mantra recitation will remove the demon of your lips. It's not so much aparajita, the demon under the feet. That's a symbolism. But what real demon is your bad mouthing, your bad hand gestures, or your bad visual gaze. Or these are the demon. These are demon within the demon. So when you're reciting mantra, doing the mantra, you should try to change those things consciously and acknowledge that I need to be careful what I think and what I say, how I create my opinions. These are largely my own delusion. This has nothing to do with the appearance of the object. It's just all about the projection of my mind. I need to make sure how to stop this projector activating as it is, and then recite the mantra and put this curse to stop the problems. That's mantra. So with this in mind, you with great meditative state, recite the mantra, do the movement of hands, and visualize with great purpose and function and meaning, with devotion and feeling and blessedness and visualization. You do the 8 offerings one after another and elegantly cross your hands after each offerings that blesses you. So that's this, what we call the offerings. The offering in general is a merit. Offering is amazing. Offering is generosity. Generosity means if someone offers something, gives something, he himself is very happy. He makes the recipient happy. He makes the onlooker also happy. The love, even love, you can't show love unless you give something to others. Be that your time, be that your friendship, be that your material generosity, be that your thoughts and ideas, emotional guidance. These are very important things we should learn to do. Dharma is about how to live meaningfully. So practicing with a great sense of carefulness and gentleness, and to do the magic healing, tender, loving care, TLC, correct? These mantras, these mudras, and this visualization is to develop tenderness and gentleness and love and caringness into your everyday behavior. So you have to learn to tame some of your physical, verbal, and mental behavior. That's the accumulation merit, When you do, Buddhas don't need any of your flowers. Buddhas don't need your water. Don't need your incense. You think the Buddha needs incense? No, we like the incense. We say, let's burn this incense. You think you're burning incense for the Buddhas? No, they have realized no nose. They have realized no smell. So it's not the Buddhas who need your incense, your miserable dharmas, No, these Buddhas are beyond that. It's we who need to do these things, to sanctify our eyes and ears and heal our eyes and ears and mouth. And you wouldn't believe how tainted and how corrupted our sense organs are because of our gross afflictions. So we need to heal the eyes and ears, and that's why all the offerings are made to the different parts of the holy bodies of Buddha's eyes and ears, so on. So with this understanding, you need the understanding of the sadhana. Because you don't understand the sadhana, you have no reason, you are not doing them. But if you understood it, you wouldn't believe how many multi-layered healing and beneficial practice it is for you to do with good understanding. So these 8 offerings. Offering is also a remedy to your miserliness, to your misery, to your thinking, I'm not good, I haven't got this, all this kind of destitution behavior in you. Don't act so destitution-like. Don't act so poor. Do something very, very generously, abundantly. See, the whole making of offering is to teach you how to be generous, how to be abundant. Don't say, I don't have. Just find a way how to get it from somewhere. Always find a way to resolve it. Don't see the problem is a problem in itself. See it as a great instigator of how to develop remedy, even if there isn't one just yet. That kind of resourcefulness is the merit of making offerings we are trying to generate. And then by practicing generosity, we will be born with a good body, healthy, and so on. So all the good things comes from good merits, so making offerings. And then once you are able to do the practice that one, then you move on to doing the Sevenfold prayer. Yeah, the Sevenfold prayer is very similar, but in relation to the 7-limb prayers, it's called limbs. It's called limbs, and number is 7. It does not correspond to 7 heaven, by the way, but nevertheless, the 7 represent limbs. 7 limbs. That's why most Tibetan Buddhist shrines have at least 7 sets of water offering bowls. They could have more than that, but minimum they must have at least 7 sets. And so when you buy the offering bowls in the Buddhist shops, you should always buy 7, not less than 7. It can be bought even more than 7, but usually when they sell in silver, they always comes in sets. There are some just for the water, for butter lamps or others, maybe on and on, but the water bowl offering always 7. So therefore, Lord Atisha instructed and recommended Tibetans to do the 7 water bowls as a reminder to practice 7 limbs. Why the 7 limbs? Because each of the 7 limbs remedies 7 cardinal problems that we have. For instance, first is the limb of confession. In the Triple Gem, I take refuge and confess individually all sins. So this is the limb of confession. Limb of confession means any misdeeds, wrongdoings, infractions, we should confess as soon as we know that they have occurred, because you don't do them intentionally, do you? They usually happen because you inadvertently happen. Some stress, some problems, some lack of carefulness, and so on, carelessness, and all these things have created. So as soon as you realize you have done something, you should straight away offer confession to whoever nearest and dearest to you, and particularly to those against whom you did something wrong, and you come to know your senses, you straight away go and beg their forgiveness to you, acknowledge your share of mistakes, and totally take full responsibility. And say sorry to other people. You wouldn't believe how magical that word sorry is. Straight away, the problems become so eliminated by the saying sorry. So this first of the 7 limb is limb of making confession. That's captured in the first sentence. Then I rejoice in the virtue deeds of all beings. So that phrase develops the virtuous limb of rejoicing. Rejoicing is virtuous because it remedies jealousy, competitiveness, and contemptuousness, and arrogance, and jealousy. All of these things are remedied by rejoicing. So I rejoice the virtues of all beings, not just friends and people who you look up, but also rejoice those strangers or someone who are more genius than you are, and then you rejoice. So that is called limb of rejoicing. If you have rejoicing, you will never get depressed. It's incredible meritorious things. You rejoice the quality of the Buddha, you rejoice quality of the Arhats, you rejoice quality of Mahapanditas, you rejoice quality of the Siddhas, you rejoice qualities of all the great lineage masters, the great pilgrims like Xuanzang from China, Yixing, and Faxian from China, Chak Lodzawa, and Drogmi Lodzawa, Lodzawa Rinchen Zangpo, Choro Lui Yansen, Kawapazi, all these great translators from Tibet who went to India, learned Sanskrit, and then brought Dharma. You should rejoice all of them. Whatever history you know, good things, you should rejoice all of them while saying, I rejoice the virtues of all beings. When you rejoice all the things, in session, even when you go out, you can see the trees, you can see the beautiful pavements, you can see the nice, beautiful lanes and bridges and traffic lights. When you see that, you rejoice in all this incredible industry and discipline and knowledge and commitment people have given to our beautiful city. You will rejoice everything. You have no room for sadness and poor meanness, because you learn to practice this. So that's the second limb. Second limb is incredibly powerful. If you have the second limb rejoicing, you won't have time to get depressed. Sad for me, poor me, poor me. You don't do poor me anymore. You just rejoice their kindness, their discipline, the mother's kindness to the young, father's discipline to go out 6:30 in the morning and doesn't come home until 7. Whole 13, 14 hours out in the cold, in the wind. He does so much of it for the family, doesn't he? So you rejoice every single person's effort. All those people who deliver the the breads at your doorstep, all those who delivers all these hot breads everywhere. We are so blessed with so many people doing their services, so that you have all the things at your fingertips. We should rejoice like that. And amazing. Meditation doesn't mean just sitting still and then, or becoming austere. You could be just looking around the street and town, and you are always rejoicing. Incredible how the trees are very beautifully trimmed, how the roads are not only built but very marked with yellow, with the witch hat here and there, saying slow, slow down. Then the red light turning orange and green. All these things, when you look at this incredible care and commitment and discipline and investments gone to produce people like me so that I can travel safely. You can rejoice all these things as well as rejoice the quality of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Yidams and deities, Dharma masters and translators and lineage gurus and benefactors of Dharma and your neighbor or even your challenger. All of these things, and if you look at it, you can always positivize it. Incredible skill to be able to do that, to be able to rejoice, You don't have time to complain. You don't complain. You only compliment more. Even a dream you're complimenting. Because if you don't complain, you're complimenting. And if you're complimenting, you will be very much with joyfulness. It's not that you have to have this, you have to have that. You have the ability to rejoice things. People who have disability to rejoice is depressed. You know what is depression? Depression is disability to rejoice. Simple. What maimed your heart from rejoicing? What cursed you from rejoicing? By being selfish. Rejoicing is selfless practice. So selflessly thinking and being happy for others and looking all the good people do, and you always see them. You always see the good in everyone. So this practice of 7 limbs is incredibly profound. Then the third limb is ultimate bodhicitta. And keep in mind the enlightenment of all the Buddhas. So that means you're going to aspire to attain the ultimate Buddhahood, like the Buddha, for the sake of all sin. That's ultimate bodhicitta. And that's the third limb, yeah? Third limb. Fourth limb is taking refuge. Taking refuge, isn't it? Taking refuge is in the Buddha, Dharma, excellent assembly. I take refuge until enlightenment reach. So this is incredible. Refuge is powerful. As soon as you found refuge in the Buddha, all your wrong ways are dropping. Your lack of discipline is dropping. When you have refuge, usually people do something nasty, you tend to react to them, don't you? When you have refuge, you practice patience. Instead of thinking he harmed you, you think he helped me to practice patience. Your whole attitude is so safe. Refuge means safety. We are so unsafe normally, where we think, where we do. We're so unthoughtful, unsafe. So refuge is incredible. So the fourth limb is refuge, You wouldn't believe how much joy you have every time you think of the qualities of Buddha, qualities of Dharma, qualities of Sangha, and you have a refuge in them. You wouldn't believe how much joy, and even your severe illnesses can be prevented and cured, and quick recovery when you do this kind of emotionally intelligent, wholesome thoughts. Buddhist practice is not just to attain so-called enlightenment. It actually brings health and happiness and pleasure and good understanding, good psychology and positive psychology. You will find yourself doing it. Yeah, so that's the fourth one. Fifth one is to generating wishing bodhicitta. In order to accomplish my own others, I produce enlightenment thought. That's the wishing bodhicitta. And sixth one, having produced this excellent enlightenment thought, I'll invite all beings and practice the pleasing excellent conduct of the enlightened ones. That's the sixth limb. Sixth limb is engaging bodhicitta. You actually will walk the talk, so to speak. You will actually do the act of generosity. You will do the act of discipline and patience and diligence, and not be lazy, not be procrastinating. Have some kind of cautiousness when is when, and get your time organized. Have some degree of how long in I should not be sleeping in, what time I should not go into bed until I have done such and such. And with that kind of punctuality in your time management, you are attentive to the well-being of how much you will make an incredible difference by being able to be punctual and helpful to people. So the engaging bodhicitta is just doing what you said you will do for the sake of others. Not let anyone down, but try to fulfill their happiness. Try to make them happy. Do whatever makes them happy, just for a change. Don't do things just what you like, what I want. Just do something to make someone happy. Even you have to go out of your own way. That is what the engaging bodhicitta is. Then last but not least is the seventh limb. Seventh limb is dedication of merit. Dedicate the merit so that all beings may achieve enlightenment. So that even all the above practices, however impressive they were, these two you will also share to other sentient beings. Even the interest you want to give to, not just the capital, even the interest you accrue from that, you will give it to the cause. That kind of incredible generosity, and giving the merit also for the very sentient being. You don't keep the merit for yourself. You share the merit for all, so the depressed become consoled, lonely become accompanied, and misunderstood become understood. And so you dedicate them. May he be changed. May the people all speak kindly to each other. May they be nice to each other. May they think nicely to each other by the merit of me doing this sadhana. So you dedicate the merit so that all beings may achieve enlightenment. So this way you do the accumulation of merit by doing the seven limb prayer. This seven limb is the remedy to those seven cardinal afflictions. So that's why if you look at the problems, the guilt, jealousy, mundane materialistic aims, wrong views, selfishness, bad conduct, and attachment, these are the seven cardinal afflictions. And if you don't remedy them by doing the sevenfold prayer, you will be crippled. You will have crippled by guilt. There are lots of people depressed by guilt. Lots of people are depressed because of jealousy. Lots of people are depressed by their wrong ways. They just had done wrong ways, and ever since that they couldn't do it any more better. They're always afraid of repeating the same mistake, and they can't dare to take up anything. There are lots of people like that, and how severely punished we are due to our selfishness. You think it's that person's fault? No, it's your selfishness that brought all the problems. Now, if you do the generation bodhicitta, you will recover from that. That's why the seven limbs are as important as your legs and hands that are fit to walk and do things. Without these seven limbs up your sleeve, you won't be able to benefit sentient beings, let alone remove your obstacles or become a deity. It's not possible. So with this in mind, one needs to accumulate the merit by doing the sevenfold prayer. We'll have a break. We will have a 15-minute break here. Thank you, everyone. And then we will resume the teaching, rest of the teaching as much as we can tonight thereafter. So sorry about the fast speed for colleagues translating in other languages. I'm sure you are now getting a little bit used to my my way, and I'm not rushing too fast. If I did, sorry about that. Maybe I'll slow down. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. After that break, we're going to continue. We have just concluded the accumulation of merit in the presence of the merit field. So, in the presence of the Vajrapani Bhutadamara and all the yidams and so on, you have made the paid homage, made offerings, and did the sevenfold prayer. Now, after that, as soon as you finish doing the sevenfold prayer, then visualize all the merit field dissolve into light, absorb into you, and hence the merit field dissolve into you. Now, the second is accumulation merit in relation to sentient beings. In relation to sentient beings, because if you have merit of the making offerings and doing the sevenfold prayer in the presence of the holy ones, you should have the merit, means you should have the qualities that makes yourself a good person who is able to show loving kindness and compassion and non-judgment, not jealousy, and equanimity, all of these things to the other sentient beings. So that's why the second one is accumulation merit by doing the meditation on the four immeasurables. It's called four immeasurables because the number of sentient beings for whose sake you need to generate loving kindness and so on are immeasurable. Sentient beings, in human beings, we think we know the numbers. But other sentient beings, most of their sentient beings, among the sentient beings, invisible. Among the visible one, the fewest among few are the human beings. And those who are non-human beings are usually insects and a lot of other sentient beings, invisible, the beings in the hell realms, the hungry ghosts. So therefore, the number of sentient beings for whose sake you need to generate loving kindness is infinite and immeasurable. So that's why I call immeasurable. You have to do four immeasurables: the immeasurable loving kindness, and so on. So that's why when you say, may all living beings have happiness and cause of happiness. So the object and range of your meditation is all sentient beings, not just to some teachings talk about try to practice loving kindness to your mother or father or something like that. But here you do all simultaneously you send loving kindness to all sentient beings. And because all those sentient beings, we may not recognize them, but they were our mother sentient beings. Each and every life we had like the kind mother of this present life, a kind father of your present life, and all of those sentient beings wish to have happiness, have happiness and also know how to create the causes of happiness. But most of them are completely crippled and blinded by not. They are, instead of learning to practice the right things, they are resorting to aggression, blaming, judgment, and so on. So they don't realize that this does not promote loving kindness. This only promotes hate. So therefore, the purpose, when we look in the context of the four immeasurables, let's look each of the immeasurable one by one, how you can integrate that with the practice of four noble truths. That the truth of suffering is hate. There's a lot of hate and ill will between people. And the origin of the hate is resentment and selfishness. And selfishness and hate. They want happiness, but they do not know the cause of happiness is loving kindness. But they are actually doing hating. They're practicing hating, and they're developing ill will and resentment from way back, from months, years ago, things. They still warrant that they should still hold ill will and a vindictiveness to each other. So therefore you feel so sad. But all sentient beings do not have happiness, even though they desire happiness, but they do not know how to cause happiness. They have no loving kindness. They actually have hating and blaming and ill will and resentment. And so that's why we need to cultivate infinite loving kindness for each and every sentient beings. The reason why for love in the immeasurable loving kindness comes first is first you have to develop good, get nearer and dearer towards sentient beings as child will be to his mother. And if nearest and dearest is our mother, isn't it? So every single sentient being has and are our mothers. So we have good reason to approach, to become closer to each and nearer and become dearer towards all sentient beings. So that great loving kindness, metta bhavana, maitri bhavana, is a great object and subject of meditation. So because of that, you need to develop this strong sense of wish. First, bringing the four tools. For the tool of determination. So one thing that how wonderful it will be if all sentient beings have happiness and able to engage in the virtuous conduct that are cause of happiness. That would be wonderful. I must do that. Whatever it takes required of me, I will do that. With that kind of strong determination, you need to practice loving kindness. And secondly is that you not only that you are determined, but you make a vow. You will make a vow to make sure that all beings have happiness and cause happiness. So determination, vow. Third is prayer. Then you make a prayer. Whatever, you always say, may all beings have happiness or cause happiness. Every morning, every afternoon, or whatever you offer the prayer. Fourth is dedication. That you dedicate, even if you have a nice sunny day or you're having a good run with your work, you dedicate straight away, may this become cause of happiness and the happiness of sentient beings. So that way you need to say, may all living beings have happiness and cause of happiness with the determination, with the promise, with the prayer, and with the dedication. So when you become able to practice the infinite, immeasurable loving kindness like that, then you can slowly extend the immeasurable compassion. That compassion is feeling empathy and feeling the pain and sorrow and distress and loneliness and sickness and fearfulness of all sentient beings as they are yours. So therefore you want to make sure how their sorrow and how their suffering could be eliminated at all costs. So therefore you have this strong wish, may all beings be free from smaller suffering and the causes of suffering. With that strong sense of determination, promise, prayer, and dedication, you say, may all beings be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. They don't want the suffering, but they are always doing the cause of suffering because they are blinded by ignorance, not knowing the facts and fiction and poison and medicine, safety or danger, good or bad. They don't know how to distinguish the medicine from the poison. So they want medicine, but they are actually eating poisons. Because they're developing aggression, they're speaking harshly to each other, speaking behind their back. These are cause of suffering, but yet they think that's not cause of suffering. They think that's going to bring some kind of alleviate their suffering, but actually they are perpetuating the very suffering. What a tragedy it is. Sentient beings don't want suffering, but everything they do is perpetuating the very suffering they don't want. So with this, you're so troubled and you're so depressed and so concerned about them, their plight, and therefore you're making this determination, the promise, and prayer and dedication, so that all sentient beings be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. I must do this. May they realize this. May the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas bless this. May all the goodness in the world will empower all beings to be free from suffering and cause of suffering. With such a certitude, if you are able to develop compassion, you would never develop an ill will towards somebody. You will never resort to act of violence physically, or you will never resort to using harsh, hurtful, divisive, condescending, and hurtful, negative, and critical language. You won't use it. Why? This is immeasurable compassion. When you have an incredibly powerful compassionate practice, it is not just designed and helped all immeasurable sentient beings, but the benefit from practicing compassion is immeasurably beneficial. You couldn't weigh the merit. It will be, you wouldn't have a scale that can weigh it. The world will be too small to accommodate the merit of practicing genuine great compassion, Mahakaruna. Even the Buddhas are Buddhas because he has Mahakaruna. He has great compassion. His compassion is not inconvenienceable. His compassion is just right, developing. So that's why even the qualities of Buddha, why we bow down to the golden Buddhas, that's because we know they are embodiment of compassion, great compassion. So this is why we need to develop strong compassion towards all sentient beings. Towards all sentient beings. So that's the practice of immeasurable compassion. May all beings be free from suffering and cause of suffering. Then the third one is practice of immeasurable joyfulness. So when you look at the plight of sentient beings, people want to be happy, but they don't have any joy. They don't have joy with their health or work or relationship or possessions or positions. They're always worried. They're always anxious. They're always upset over something. Their mind is not free to be joyful or grateful. They are completely devoid of the ability to be joyful and grateful. Instead, they are miserable. They are complaining. They are negative. So that's why you feel, may all beings be free from suffering, free from, have a happiness that will not turn into suffering. Most of their victory, most of their promotion, most of their whatever they have is instead of becoming cause of boosting their happiness, these very short-lived victory, short-lived harmony, all become cause of disharmony. And they do not know how to have a true, lasting joyfulness because they lack merit. They're always sad or hurt, or if they're talking to or people talking, they're all talking negatives. They're hardly engaging in meaningful conversations. So this is where the world is so harmed by its own negativities. So joyfulness is being positive, being thoughtful, on not dwelling on the past, and learning how to take the stock of good points. Take an inventory of all the things that you already are and you already have. But people are not doing that. They have so much, but they don't see anything. They still see what they don't have. So they are coveting, they are running, they're competing, and they don't see anything they have. They have this incredible jealous mind. How wonderful it will be. I get that, I'll get there. If I get to live there, I get to own this, I get to that job. But if they get that job, they are not contented. They are not joyful. And they are either arrogant or, again, competitive or jealousy. Therefore, they are completely crippled by lack of joyfulness. People want joy, but they don't know how to be joyful. The cause of joyful is humility, generosity, discipline, tolerance, and seeing the kindness of other people and appreciation, these are true cause of happiness. So that's why you feel, when you do the immeasurable joyfulness meditation, you must have strong sense of determination. How can I cause other people to be joyful and positive? I promise to do this. You try to renew your bodhicitta vow so that I will make sure influence somebody to be positive and joyful. And you then they pray to the Buddhas and deities, yidams, also may each and everybody become empowered to have joy and never turn into suffering. You dedicate the even smallest merit you have in order to boost the joyfulness, gratitude, and appreciation of each other. If there is a public meeting or something, they're never talking about good things. They're talking about how the problem was created, how to punish this, and always kind of witch hunting. They are always busy doing negative things. Very few are engaged in positive things. Why? Because they have no happiness that will not dwindle into sorrow. They don't have the joy from humility, joy from gratitude, joy from humility, joy from one's diligence, joy from one's concentration, joy from one's lack of ill will, joy from lack of a craving, joy from lack of enmity. These are the incredibly priceless practice of joyfulness. How wonderful it will be if those sentient beings have joyful. I'm determined to make this happen and influence even one sentient being. Even if I can make one sentient being joyful and not depressed, that would be wonderful social service. You can't have all the people to be like that. You have to start with the one. Even the Buddha started with working with 5 disciples. Now, even after 2026 centuries, Buddha's followers, people who rejoice that his teaching is infinite. So this is called immeasurable joyfulness. The very fact that when people lay their eye on a Buddha image, they always find something peaceful, some message of tolerance and kindness and non-violence coming. So Buddha is constantly teaching because he's embodiment of ultimate joy and bliss. And so that's why we are praying, may all beings have a happiness that does not turn into sorrow. I'm determined to do that. I'll pray to the Triple Gem and the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Dharmapalas. I'll dedicate every small merit that I have so that beings have this infinite joyfulness or sympathetic joy. So this is how you practice. And then also you go to practice for the immeasurable equanimity. Immeasurable equanimity is equanimity, meaning that amazing sense of level-headedness, which empowers you to not fall into attachment to the near and dear, nor aversion to the other. You know the extreme danger of falling one side or the other side. So you learn how to negotiate. So you do neither becoming too attached to the close, near and dear, nor too aversive to the difficult ones, seeing them both as a temporary causes of penduluming from one to another. Therefore, one doesn't see it as a fixed object to become attached to, or fixed object to become aversive to. So if there any kind of sense of inequality or no equanimity there, it's because one is resorting to resentment and blaming and not rejoicing each other and being negative. So you can understand the why people lack equanimity and what merit is required of them. So that's with this in mind you need to develop. May all beings live in equanimity, free from attachment to the near and aversion to the distance. So when you say that with the determination, the vow, prayer, and supplication and dedication, you will slowly have yourself the ability to not get too possessive and too obsessive over getting something done your way. You're so attached to it previously. Now you're not attached. You can see the danger of attachment to it. Even that it's a good, even it's your pet, even if it's your most favorite subject or whatever, you still learn to let's set it aside and not get too embroiled about it. So, because you have equanimity merit. Likewise, even though some beings are so hard or so difficult to you, but you never react to them in an extreme fashion. You may have to deal with it one way or another, but you never make it worse because you are so skilled and so empowered not to do the latter. So with this in mind, one therefore recites, because when you do the four immeasurable prayer, your object are the sentient beings. You're basically addressing, your domain is all the sentient beings. All of you that I know from this life, that I've known from previous life, that I don't remember who you are, all of you. So you're basically practicing loving kindness to the infinite sentient beings. And likewise, loving kindness to infinite compassion and joyfulness and equanimity and the like. So you are able to radiate these four practices, which is very, very meritorious thing to do. Why is the meditation on the four immeasurable immeasurables is very precious? Is because if you have loving kindness towards not just to your mother or people who love you or people who are very thankful and grateful to you, but loving kindness even to those people who hate you, loving kindness to those people who harbor ill will against someone you love and respect, loving kindness to those people who have harmed you before, but still you, instead of developing ill will to them, you develop loving kindness towards them. So you are able to overcome all objects of hostility that is to do with you, to do with your loved one, to do against someone you have aversion to, either yesterday or today or future, vice versa. So there are almost like ninefold objects of aversion or ill will or resentment. So here one needs to learn how to develop infinite prongs of virtue, so that with which you can remedy all of that and not harbor any ill will. Now, if you don't have ill will, you wouldn't believe how free of high blood pressure, how free of various health conditions are guaranteeable by practicing loving kindness and by discarding the opposite of loving kindness, which is hate. There's a lot of hate language. There's a lot of hate kind of actions, manners, behaviors, expressions. We need to have the power to exercise restraint with the people so that we do not promote this kind of negativities for or against anyone. And this practice of the four immeasurable have this immeasurable ramification that you no longer do ill will, no you longer do resentment, you no longer do poor me, but instead you have an incredible warmth and tenderness and loving kindness towards all sentient beings. No matter how variously they may themselves present to us, we see them as their pure, their helpless karma that has compelled them to do or say things like that, but you will not get caught up in the he said, she said to me, or again, you will not. This is the immeasurable merit. They call the immeasurable joy or these things what they call in a secular language, they call emotional intelligence. Yeah. You need to develop an emotional kind of repertoire, a kind of host of goodness in your linguistic communication that actually, by the virtue, the way of where you use language, it calms and pacifies and harmonizes and subdues everyone. Whereas some other people, as soon as they say, the way they speak is just totally stirs up everything and they become very volatile. So others who have this realization of loving kindness, compassion, joyful equanimity can really have immeasurable effect on other people. If you have someone who has lots of loving kindness, wherever he or she is, this incredible influence they have towards others. Not only that, I would like to speak briefly about how health-wise, the practice of loving kindness and so on, these 4 immeasurables, are incredibly powerful to restore your harmony of the 4 elements. Particularly by loving kindness, you harmonize the earth element. Water, the compassion. Joy, the fire. And air, the equanimity. These 4 are, without having to discuss because when you talk about doing Vajrayana practices to attain enlightenment in one lifetime for the benefit of all saints, you need to look at how to equip yourself with these 4 immeasurables. Additionally, even when you are doing lots of deity yoga practices, but in everyday life you need these kind of things to make people happy, or being protected, or not being judged, or not being ridiculed by others. When they know you all have these 4 immeasurables, they will never be threatened of anyone, because it has incredible ability to silence and tame and collectively change people's concentration and attitudes and psychology. So that's why it's very important to do the 4 immeasurable meditation. Meditation on the infinite loving kindness, what we call, infinite, you can call it apramana, or that what you could not, this is what they call Brahma Viharas. They call Brahma Viharas. That when you develop loving kindness, your consciousness becomes raised so high, like that of the Brahma's consciousness. So that's why it's important to see. Brahma also means become pure. So it means pure means because you are absence of ill will and resentment and guilt and judgment and laziness and miserliness, all of these are not in your vernacular, in your vocabulary at all. Because you don't even speak and think in that language, you don't do any kind of outer behavior that are very abrasive and rough and violent to terrorize other sentiments. You don't. Your blessedness, your tameness, your ability to speak gently in kindness, and ability to look with the great kind eyes, and ability to think very carefully and thoughtfully, it's incredible stock of merit, what we call accumulation of merit in relation to sentient beings. And also, by doing this practice of 4 immeasurables, you have a greater opportunity to prevent the development of diseases due to earth deficiency, due to water deficiency, due to fire deficiency, due to air deficiency. People suffer from all kinds of diseases. According to the Tibetan Buddhist medicine, that if you lack a loving kindness, then this will break down your earth element. Because of that, your bone density problem, motor neuron problem, joint and bone problems, because this is a hard part of your body, will starting to manifest because you have no loving kindness, but instead you have hate, you have lots of resentment. Resentment will make you go weak so strong. You will develop incredible, they call destructive emotion. Destructive emotion because they distracted the very fiber and tissues, the bones and joints and muscles where we are trying to build or to stay healthy. But the very sheer lack of merit makes your body absence of the body of health. Your body instead is full of body of ill will and resentment, judgment and anger and blaming and so on. So likewise, people who practice a lot of compassion, they say because compassion run deep like water, that developing compassion can make yourself have deep understanding of the sorrow and cause of sorrow of other sentient beings, and you are able to intervene them due to your fitness to be able to practice that. Because compassion is a very Compassion is more superior than loving kindness. Loving kindness is merely wanting to love or show kindness to others. But what if your things are very difficult? Do you develop loving kindness or do you develop compassion? Sometimes compassion comes more readily because it's you just randomly practice that and that's it, and therefore you have no subsequent commitment. So random is probably more precious for our ability in everyday life, and not being discriminatory we practice compassion and forgiveness and against whom we don't. One does no longer discriminate as one used to discriminate. You no longer do the discrimination. All sentient beings are equal. They are equally this life and that and such relationship. In the same time, in the past life, they may have been this and that and to me. So because of the uncertainty of relationship, there is no fixed awareness, fixed kind of a judgment against anybody. Likewise, when you practice the joyfulness can greatly increase your metabolism and digestive system. Because if you don't have joy, there is a lot of paleness in your skin, and you probably develop a kind of those hepatitis illnesses because of the effect of the thought has to your actual subtle body. So all of the illnesses of motor neuron or circulation of blood, that's due to ill will, and the non-digestive system, always having a lot of bowel and stomach problem, is because you don't have any maturity, like a fire. You have no inner fire. You're inside very cold towards things. Because of that, you get depressed very quickly, and that's why you don't have joyfulness. Even if somebody has some health or success, they become cause of your coldness towards them. And so it's a really terrible contagious disease. It doesn't even need to contract. It doesn't even need to contact physically. You just think about something and you're already sick already. So what we're talking about is the psychology of sufferings and psychology of four immeasurables. So when you practice joyfulness, your digestive system will make stronger. Your hands and legs or feet are always warm because you don't go cold. You're still alive and radiating your kindness and generosity and understanding. Likewise, when your practice of equanimity is good, then you won't develop any respiratory illnesses. But otherwise, you will develop lots of respiratory, a lot of chest-related infection problems and mouth, and all the oral problems will start manifesting sickness-wise. Person can't say very quickly. They all of a sudden develop disease. The head is shaking. They can't say a word. The eyes are glaring, but they can't say a word. You wouldn't believe how many lack of immeasurables have indicated how much they have the opposite of that, like ill will, resentment, and guilt, and blaming, and a bias towards some, bias against another. All these things are mentality, our mind that slowly goes and engages and contracts the other people's behavior. Has a really good reason to be concerned how to put an end to the difficulties. So because of that, one needs to therefore learn to practice the four immeasurables. When you do the four immeasurables, you got to imagine all sentient beings wherever they are, and then you are sending this amazing energy of loving kindness and compassion, joyfulness, equanimity. Make this actual loving kindness meditation. This is not just loving kindness to one, may you be well, may you be free of happiness, free of suffering, that sort of thing. This is may all living beings have happiness and cause of happiness, and free of suffering, cause of suffering. and have a happiness that does not turn into suffering, and may they do not become, too attached to the near and too aversive to somebody, treat them in the distance, may they not do that. May they show the equal radiation, loving kindness, understanding to all sentient beings, because that would not destroy the fiber and tissues of their own blood or joints or muscles or whatever the case might be, because otherwise people are thinking sick. When they are thinking sadness and worries, fear, doubt, anxiety, resentment, then they are starting to develop the illnesses. You would not believe how many of the human illnesses are self-created. Not because they ate that too much or they didn't get that much protein or something, but no, they are completely home-harmed practitioners. So we need to therefore take stock how to develop the practice of for immeasurable can greatly go and practice kindness even to yourself as the first person. Not just all others, but with the exception of me. No, us, we are actually included. Because we need to recruit this new person in us by resorting to practice loving kindness and compassion, joyfulness, and equanimity. So that concludes what we call the accumulation of merit in relation to sentient beings. So in relation to sentient beings. So I think we will stop there. I'm starting to get a little bit tired also, and also it's a good place to stop. Thank you for your able to stay up so long and listen to this teaching, having received the empowerment from His Eminence. And so tomorrow we'll continue. Tomorrow we will be able to discuss the actual generation stage of oneself as a Bhutadamara and the symbolism that they represent. So with this in mind, we will do the dedication merits. And thank you everyone listening to the teaching and translating the teachings of this nature has lots of long-term merit and benefit. So we should really starting to see how much of the benefit and merits are having a ripple effect in your way of thinking, your opinion, your attitudes about this, about that. So there's enormous merit. So can I ask you to all dedicate the prayers, this practice merit, to relieve all the sufferings that is caused by natural disasters as well as man-made disasters. May they become peace. May they sign not only the peace treaty, but may they all have a good realization of that, and may they improve on that, and may all the sufferings and fears and anxiety world be quelled by people like you who are keen to do the sadhana practice of Vajrapani. Vajrapani is a very profound practice. This is one of my first deity yoga retreat, which I did for 7 weeks, followed by the fire puja. So I have very fond memories and experience of doing this practice. And you by learning to hear the teachings and doing the practice will have many realization. May that be so. So with this we want to do the dedication. May Herenda Mahayana Dij whatever merit I have, may all be becomes and levels to hold the Mahayana Dij courage manjushin yod as Ama Tabadra Deliva following Avade Zambo Ajarege Ademere Mede Selem Bodhicitta Tebe Verenaya where has been bometing freely without generation. Thank you everyone.